I was shocked by hospitals in Malaysia.
I never understood why it was so complicated and ridiculous. And then when you finally did meet them, even if you had private health insurance, it would cost you a few $100s on top of that. So I've had some very expensive and stressful journeys with specialist doctors in Australia. Now in Malaysia, the experience could not be any more different. Specialist doctors are everywhere and they're not lower quality. These doctors are studying in Australian, UK, US universities. They've come back to Malaysia and they're practicing here.
Some of the latest technology, some of the friendliest staff that I've ever met. This hospital is an achievement to Malaysia.
And they said we could come in straight away, which feels so strange for us because in the UK you literally have to wait weeks to see a doctor. But we arrived and he was immediately seen by a doctor. It was all so quick. I was slightly worried that it was going to be so expensive to be seen by a doctor abroad.
And then it was time to pay, and I was amazed when she told me the doctor's consultation was only 30 Malaysian ringgit, which is about $6 to $7. Now, if that's not the cheapest medical consultation I've ever had, I don't know which one is.
You know, and over here in Malaysia, it just goes to show that these things can work well, can be very efficient, streamlined, and just properly organised. And well done, Malaysia. Absolutely incredible service there.
The best part about all of it is that all that medication, the checkup, everything came to 44 ringgit, which is less than a prescription would probably cost you in the UK. It's actually crazy.
I love hospitals in Malaysia. Well, yes, I've only had experience with private hospitals in Kuala Lumpur, but still I'm impressed.
Hai teman-teman semuanya, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Berjumpa lagi dengan saya guys, Taimrek TV. Bagaimana kabar kalian semua? Semoga sentiasa dalam keadaan sehat walafiat, dipermudahkan segala urusannya dan semoga dilancarkan rezekinya. Dan yang dalam keadaan sakit guys, semoga Allah angkat penyakitnya dan diberikan kesehatan oleh Allah. Yang dalam keadaan berjuang guys, semoga perjuangannya diridhai oleh Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Oke teman-teman, dalam kali ini ada salah satu video yang cukup menarik ya teman-teman, yaitu dalam hal ini ya, Malaysia merupakan yang terbaik guys. Sistem kesehatan Malaysia ramai dibicarakan di luar negeri ya teman-teman. Wow, memang kita akui teman-teman, di Malaysia itu sistem kesehatannya sangat luar biasa. Wah, dan perlu diajungkan jempol guys. Oke teman-teman, daripada penasaran seperti apakah videonya, langsung saja kita play, let's go.
Belakangan ini, sistem kesehatan Malaysia rame banget dibicarakan oleh orang-orang luar negara. Banyak yang gak nyangka kalau Malaysia ternyata termasuk salah satu yang terbaik di dunia dalam hal layanan kesehatan. Bukan cuma karena biayanya yang murah, tapi juga karena fasilitas rumah sakitnya yang modern dan canggih, serta dokter-dokternya yang profesional dan cekap. Di Malaysia, orang nggak perlu nunggu berminggu-minggu hanya untuk bertemu dokter. Cukup tunggu beberapa jam aja, langsung bisa dilayani. Gak heran kalau makin banyak warga asing yang kagum dan memilih berobat ke Malaysia.
I was shocked by hospitals in Malaysia. I checked out a few of the best hospitals in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and I was surprised at how world-class yet affordable they are. First of all, it was extremely convenient that everybody could speak fluent English and answer all of our questions quickly. My husband injured his hand and needed to get a consultation with a specialist. We just showed up at the hospital and the orthopedic specialist was available the same day, for which we paid $40 for an appointment. It went really smoothly. The doc took their time to explain everything to us without rushing it. Because of how nice the experience was, my husband decided to have a small surgical procedure done on his hand, and again the whole process was efficient, but the doc did an amazing job. The surgery cost around $2,000. Not cheap, but way cheaper than the $10,000 to $15,000 he would have paid in the States.
Did I just go for the cheapest doctor's appointment here in Malaysia? I think I did. I arrived in Kuala Lumpur just 2 days ago, and previously I had an infection in this ear, so I used some medicated drops in it and eventually the pain went away, but it's been like 2 weeks now and I still can't hear very well out of it. I figured I'd just research online to see if I can find some affordable clinic for someone to take a look at it, and I ended up finding a place called Clinic Alpha. So I figured I'd take the subway there because it's really close to the Pandan Jaya subway station. It was really easy to get to. And by the way, this place is also awesome because they are open 24 hours. How convenient is that? And this is not a sponsored video, by the way. I'm just amazed by their service. So I walked in there, I just gave the lady my passport. She registered me into their system. I sat down, I waited for like 2 minutes, and the doctor was ready to see me right away. I was only in the doctor's office for like 2 to 3 minutes. There was no need to stay any longer. She used this really modern instrument where she can see inside my ear canal and actually take a picture. So she showed me my ear canal, and she basically said there wasn't much that we could do because this was just going to heal on its own in about a month. And then it was time to pay, and I was amazed when she told me the doctor's consultation was only 30 Malaysian ringgit, which is about $6 to $7. Now, if that's not the cheapest medical consultation I've ever had, I don't know which one is. So if you're looking to cut costs here in Kuala Lumpur, I'm not sure if they have these all over Malaysia, but they definitely have them here in Kuala Lumpur. If you're looking to cut costs on medical consultations, do visit Clinic Alpha.
My boyfriend has to go see a doctor today, and we're currently in Kuala Lumpur traveling, and we think he might have an ear infection that's just not getting any better. But we rang a doctor and they said we could come in straight away, which feels so strange for us because in the UK you literally have to wait weeks to see a doctor. But we arrived and he was immediately seen by a doctor. It was all so quick. I was slightly worried that it was going to be so expensive to be seen by a doctor abroad, but luckily we've got insurance just in case. And then 5 minutes later he had his medication and it was all done. We just left the health centre and it was actually really successful. So essentially they just said that like you might have an infection, it was just a bit like inflamed.
Yeah, he just said like no blockage, there's inflammation, here's some anti-inflammatory tablets, here's some, still don't know what the drops are for, and then he gave me some antibiotics because he said it could lead to an infection, so it's better to just eradicate it. I don't really know.
The best part about all of it is that all that medication, the checkup, everything came to 44 ringgit, which is less than a prescription would probably cost you in the UK. It's actually crazy.
It really does blow my mind just how efficient and sort of streamlined it is going to see a doctor here in Malaysia compared to the UK. So today, for example, Amy had to see a doctor because she needed a new prescription. Now in the UK, you'd have to phone the doctor and you'd probably be waiting, you know, I don't know exactly, at least a week, maybe a couple or even a few weeks. I've not been in the UK for over a year now and I've not used a doctor for a very, very long time, but I do know they have very long waiting lists, even just to see a GP, and that's if you can even get an appointment. But today, we were just walking along, Amy saw a clinic and said, oh, yes, I need to see a doctor about my prescription. So, no appointment, walked in, said, would it be possible to get an appointment? And they said, just wait. 5 minutes, Amy sat there, and then she saw a doctor. Simple as that. Walked in off the street, sat down for 5 minutes, saw a doctor. No 2-week waiting time, no, waiting lists or no appointments available. Just as simple as that. It was such an easy process. She was in with the doctor for, a few minutes, got a prescription, and the whole thing was sorted. So how exactly it has gotten to the point that it has in the UK now, where it's virtually impossible to even see a doctor, and definitely you're never going to see one on the same day, and probably not even the same week as when you actually need to see them, and over here in Malaysia, it just goes to show that these things can work well, can be very efficient, streamlined, and just properly organised. And well done, Malaysia. Absolutely incredible service there.
And the reason I was so happy to come to this hospital today is because when I read the invitation, I remember that 12 years ago I actually came to one of your 30 hospitals, Damansara Hospital, and I did a surgery there. It went very well. And I was very, very happy with the staff, and I'm feeling alright. Very excited, actually. I'm very excited to see 12 years later what it looks like now.
The new looks of the new KPJ.
This is our rehab center.
Oh, this machine, what is that?
This is an anti-gravity treadmill.
To get back to walk without all the pressure of your body.
We are using it often. We see a lot of progress. So now we are going to level 9 to see the new executive suite.
This is the place for the patient. This is the shower. Oh, the shower is very big. Wow. Yeah, it's a huge shower. Oh, you have a companion room with a nice view as well for the companion. Have a look at the lobby. This is just the lobby. Hotel Lima Bintang.
This is a premium lounge, 1,500 per year. Welcome drinks, our biscuits.
Yeah, I got some food. Home kitchen, yeah?
Correct. Diagnostic imaging services. The best, the latest technology that we have here.
And I haven't heard about that treatment yet.
Medical breakthrough heart surgery. This is a minimally invasive heart surgery led by Professor Shahrul Amri, who is a very, very well-known surgeon in Malaysia.
Normal surgery leaves a very big scar.
Here, we don't do that anymore. We come from this side. Here, it's all minimally invasive.
Some of the latest technology, some of the friendliest staff that I've ever met. This hospital is an achievement to Malaysia. Macam pyramids of Egypt. Just look at that.
I love hospitals in Malaysia. Well, yes, I've only had experience with private hospitals in Kuala Lumpur, but still I'm impressed. Today my husband and I returned to Pantai Hospital for his post-surgical checkup. We arrived 4:30 p.m. and were asked to wait. 20 minutes later, his surgeon invited him to evaluate his recovery. It went really smoothly. Doc took her time to answer all of our questions. We were expecting to pay around 115 ringgit for the checkup, but surprisingly, they only charged us 10 ringgit for registration fee. I'm impressed by service, our doctor's expertise, and the quality of healthcare provided by hospitals in Malaysia.
We really have such efficient healthcare system. Trust me when I say we got it good. A Malaysian who lived in the US before. I completely agree, and I've made videos in the past saying about how efficient the healthcare system in Malaysia is compared to what I'm used to back in the UK. And when I make videos about the efficiency of the Malaysian healthcare system, I do often get comments from Malaysians saying that of course there are waiting times. You do have to wait if you go to a public hospital to see a GP, that kind of thing. And yes, you do. That's probably the same in any country that has a public healthcare system. But the difference is that it's got so bad now in the UK that people are waiting weeks and weeks just to get an initial appointment. We're not talking about seeing a specialist, we're talking about simply seeing a doctor to get a referral. As we can see here, 1 in 20 patients in England wait at least 4 weeks to see a GP, figures show. That's to see a GP, like I say, not a specialist. So if you've got a pain or an illness, you just need to see the initial doctor, you could be waiting up to 4 weeks for that appointment. And in addition to that, 1 in 6 appointments, which is about 5.4 million people, the patient was forced to wait at least 2 weeks after booking just to see a GP. Now imagine, you've got something wrong with you, you're feeling unwell, or you've got a sort of a pain that's worrying you, you desperately want to see a doctor, and you're made to wait between 2 and 4 weeks just for that appointment. And in fact, it has gotten so bad that GP waiting times in the UK are now worse than Rwanda, China, and Russia, this study has found. Compare that to Malaysia. Malaysia's public hospitals have long waiting times for patients, with some reports of patients waiting more than 2 hours from registration to getting a prescription. The average time for medical consultation is 18.21 minutes. So you can see there's quite a disparity between having to wait 2 to 4 weeks and having to wait a couple of hours. And this is why I always say that being over here, I see such a high level of efficiency compared to what I'm used to.
Wow, memang sistem kesehatan di Malaysia ini patut jadi tumpuan, ya, patut jadi acuan negara-negara luar, guys. Dan apa ya, takjub guys orang-orang luar dengan sistem perobatan, sistem kesehatan di Malaysia ini. Oke teman-teman, terima kasih sudah menonton video ini. Saya Temrek TV undur diri. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.